much indeed. We got quite a lot, probably most of what you had to say, Naomi. Thank you very much indeed. So I'm going to hand over to Fionnuala, who's the youth project worker with the Cork Migrant Centre. And Fionnuala is the last speaker today. And we're conscious of time, I have to say, but what we will do is we will try and come back to Dr. Naomi just after Fionnuala, if she wants to say her last few words there. So we'll hand over to you, and thank you very much indeed, Dr. Naomi, for your input. Again, very, very insightful. So over to you, Fionnuala, and thanks very much indeed.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. And I am going to start by just talking a little bit about myself and my background and the work that I do. Here is just a representation. So I was born in South Africa in Free State, and my mom is Liberian and my dad is Irish. And Liberia is located right west coast of Africa. We're beside Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Ivory Coast. My mom and my dad met in Ganta Leprosy Center, where my mom worked and cared for her mother who had leprosy, and my dad was a farm manager. And when the war came, my mom and her two kids, they fled and went to Guinea, right across the border. And my dad, because everyone kind of split when the war happened, it came so quickly. So my mom fled across the border with her two kids. And my dad was at the leprosy center, and he finally made it to the refugee camp where she was staying in Guinea. And it was there that they got married, in the refugee camp. And my dad worked, came to Ireland and then organized a visa and for my mom. And so we lived in Lesotho for a while we lived in Lesotho where my family lived, and then I was born right across the border because the hospital was right across the border into South Africa. And so after Lesotho, we moved to Ireland, and after Ireland, we moved to Liberia. And so this is in Liberia, growing up. I have a bit of the food, and this is me with my cousin Mercy. And this is, to the left is my mom, getting ready to go to church in the morning. And to the right here is my dad. He is with the local town chief, and they're drinking some palm wine after a meeting. And this is my mom when we lived in Killy in Offaly. And so she is here on the left, and she has a baby on her back. Coming from Liberia, she has the traditional way to hold a baby on her back and trying to integrate into Irish society. And to the right is my dad with his African attire, also trying to integrate into Liberian society. And so here is a photo of my siblings and I. That's Emmanuel and myself and my little sister Nginya. And I really loved Barney, so I carried Barney on my back everywhere. And to the left here is my grandparents, my Liberian grandparents, and to the right is my Irish grandparents from Mayo. And so they never actually met each other at all. But the thing is, they're both farmers, my grandparents, my granddads, and they were connected in that way of just pure love, pure love and acceptance. And they were both buried the same day in February, 2 years apart. And both my grandparents on either side have passed away, but they live on through these memories and all the time we think about them. And so my work at the Cork Migrant Centre, it was the kind of perfect job for me, because I went into UCC a few years ago and studied international development and food policy. Being that we lived in Liberia quite a while, so we moved from Lesotho, we went back to Ireland. And from Ireland, we moved back to Liberia because my mom missed home so much. And then the war would come and then would move back to Ireland. And then in 2006, we moved back to Liberia because she missed home so much again. And in 2010, we came to Ireland, and a few years later, she went back to Liberia on her own because she wasn't happy in Ireland after suffering so much trauma, and trying to adapt to the Irish society. It just posed too much for her. So it was the best decision for her to leave. And that is something that kind of keeps me kind of moving, to make people comfortable. And that's creating safe spaces, as Naomi said, where people feel comfortable. Because we lived in the rural area where there's no access, people don't understand where other people come from. And there's just this isolation that we couldn't bridge at the time. So after kind of living between Liberia and Ireland, I was very aware of the inequalities that existed and decided to study international development at UCC. And luckily I found the Cork Migrant Centre, and I started volunteering with them in third year, helping Naomi with the Mama and Baby group. And today I work 3 days a week there. So the work we do with the young people is around capacity building, enhancing knowledge and skills, self-esteem and confidence. And as Naomi said earlier, and Sister Jo also, building the kids' confidence is something that is so important, because a lot of the young people will come to us and they don't know where to start. They will come to the dance classes that we'll do, and for the first 2-3 weeks they won't participate. After that, kind of seeing the other young people, they will kind of slowly start to join, slowly until they actually get to the front of the dance group. And so that's the kind of line of work, just making them feel comfortable, confident in who they are, despite like society telling them, oh, you're not Irish, oh, you're not this, you're not that. And so the dance workshop we do is run by Andrea Williams. She's a dance teacher, choreographer, and we also do maths grinds in collaboration with UCC and CIT to support them in whatever they Leaving Cert and Junior Cert. We also have music writing and production workshop targeting themes of social justice and equality. We do art workshop with the Cork printmakers in the Crawford Art Gallery. And we do project in STEM. I'll explain more in a bit with more slides. And we do summer camps and transition year placement in collaboration with Dell Technologies. And we've managed to, when COVID came last year, we managed to move a lot of our programs online, which was really, really good. And we managed to get a lot of support to provide young people with access to the internet and laptops, which was amazing because we were able to move the workshops online. So last year, with the murder of George Floyd in the US, a lot of our young people were highly impacted and were talking about their experiences of racism in Ireland. And because we work kind of supporting and empowering young people, we decided to create a platform that would support the young people and create a space where their voice can actually be heard by people who can do something. So we to this webinar, we invited the CEO of Tesla, representative from the Garda, the CEO of the Ombudsman for Children, the Lord Mayor, and a lot of other people that we thought would actually be able to make a change in the institutions. So this webinar was very successful. That's just a screenshot of the webinar, and the work that we did in raising awareness about racism and discrimination and the need for diversity was acknowledged by the Lord Mayor of Cork, and we were awarded the first Cork Learning Cities Award for the work that we do. In the photo, there is me in the middle, there is Naomi, there is Deborah, one of our youth workers, there is Junior, Aliyah, the youth, one of the young people, and Andrea, the dance teacher. And Nano Nagel Place, they supported this work so much. And They supported a work of art that was put in the windows, and Nano's word, deeds not words, were kind of placed here as well as a reminder. So the work on anti-racism that we do has continued. It didn't stop with the webinar. We decided to focus on 3 main areas: anti-racist training for teachers, primary school students in the workplace, mentorship, and policy. And we wanted to reflect the diversity that already exists in our communities. And we thought we'll do this through a storytelling approach, because from the webinar, we saw that was what worked. And people love listening to stories, and it's stories from real people. And the work that we do around the toolkit targets like themes of language, name, culture, identity, bullying, and racism. And so that's work that is ongoing at the moment, and we hope to roll out the toolkit in the next few months. And this was a project with my generation in collaboration with Glocksman, where the young people worked with the Glocksman Art Gallery to create these pieces that was put around the city. So this was around Loch, the River Lee, and we also had posters in front plastered onto the library, the city library in town. So it was highly visible, and it just kind of reflected the young people's thought and their emotion in response to what was happening around Black Lives Matter. And that's one of our young people, Darian, looking at herself. So the work that we do around anti-racism and diversity, we kind of got into another collaboration with Douglas Week, celebrating Frederick Douglass' visit to Ireland. And he came to Cork, and so the group they collaborated with the Cork Migrant Centre youth, and we did 3 events on Douglas Week this year. And also at this event, we had inspirational, we had a representative from Hamilton, the musical in Hamilton on tour in the US. So he came to our webinar and he spoke to young people about the work that he does. And we also had an event, I Am Remarkable, where we identify young people in the community that have done remarkable things to share their story and inspire young people, because a lot of the issue we have with young people from migrant background is there's such little representation. So we wanted to highlight the need for role models and showcase role models. And we also had music events. We work with Teen Turn, as I mentioned, and they support girls in STEM. And that is around science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So making sure that women have access to these opportunities. So to the left here, we have Ugana, and she was the winner of a blog project, and she helped develop an app to teach Irish Sign Language, as she identified a need for learning Irish Sign Language, which is so important. So a few weeks ago, I took them to the Limerick airfield, where they built rockets, and just then putting together the rockets, and they were fired into the air. Naomi mentioned we do art workshop with young people. We've actually started with 7 to 11-year-olds. So when COVID came, a lot of the young people were at home all the time. And so we managed to do a collaboration with Crawford and have Zoom workshop every Saturday afternoon. So the parents will connect the young people to the Zoom, and we'll have a teacher here. Her name is Julie, and she will do art classes with them. And we were able to send them by post all the materials needed for the art. And here they're making slime, which was very popular. And it was something we had to get parental approval for at the end. And it was really, really good. And here's one of our young people. Over the summer, we engaged a lot of the young people in drama. And this was in collaboration with the University College Cork. And we had Andrea Williams and Raphael doing dance drama classes with the young people, just getting them out of themselves, getting them to express themselves, building friendships, and just dancing and having fun together, because the COVID-19 and the restriction had a lot of impacts on the young people, and just getting them to leave the house, it was a big thing, making these phone calls and making sure that they can actually get the confidence to leave the house again and meet people and do things together. So this was really, really fun. In collaboration with Safe Haven Ireland, we managed to take 8 young people for a week to Oyster Haven to go sailing. And that is some of the young people there doing windsurfing, and they were engaged in a lot of activities, multi-activities, sailing and windsurfing. And so this was to support confidence building, learning new skills, and integration also. And another project is with the Young Printmaker Collective. Because of the work we did during last year with the anti-racism and the art pieces created by the young people, the Cork printmakers they were so surprised, and they're like, we want to get you guys on board as part of the Young Printmakers. So we managed to get 8 young people involved in this project for over a 3 years period. With the end of this 3 years, hopefully they'll be able to actually be facilitators of some of these workshops. So in these workshops, they learn lino printing, screen printing, and any other type of printing you can imagine. They are engaged with, and they have their mentors to support them. And it's a self-organized approach to creative programming and just supporting the talent and getting them out of the center, getting them doing something, getting them using their hands and engaging. So one of the last projects, and this is actually happening tomorrow and at UCC, so the Ubuntu project. And I think some of you might already know what Ubuntu is, and putting it very simply, it is I am because we are, and just that kind of shared humanity. So this is a project in collaboration with UCC Cypher Project, and it's a part of the Changemaker television series with RTE. So on Sunday at 2 o'clock in UCC, our young people with their mentors, they'll be performing music and dance and spoken word in UCC to celebrate Ubuntu. So this is some of our young people, our dancers from Mill Street. This is Maria here. Maria, during COVID, when we couldn't get them to the center to do dance, she actually started leading. She was empowered to lead the dance group in Mill Street. So she took the leadership position and started doing dance classes in the center with the young people. So that was just amazing. And it's work that she's continuing, which is fantastic. So just lastly, I have a short video to highlight some of the dance. I don't know if we have time.
We're running very short on time, Fionnuala.
No worries, that's fine, that's fine.
What we'll promise to do is that we will include this presentation and your presentations and your PowerPoint, everybody. We're very grateful for all the presentations. They've run a little bit over time, but no harm, because we got the full breadth of the full experience. And so what I might do is, rather than taking questions and answers, there's quite a number of comments in the chat. I will leave people to make more of those, and people can read them themselves as they go through. But what I might do is I might call on Sister Eleanor Sugru, please, if she wouldn't mind just coming in to thank the presenters. And we might then head for a cup of tea, and we might take our questions a little bit later on, if that's okay, because there's still some things arriving into the chat. Naomi, Josephine and Fionnuala, thank you again. Eleanor, if you're there, please, would you mind?
Very good. Thanks, Brian. So, folks, it's my privilege really to say thank you to Fionnuala, to Joe and to Naomi. Morning. And I have to say, your presentation is so informative, so inspiring, really. And I just thought it was wonderful to hear all that's going on in the Migrant Centre. I think Joe put it all in context for us at the start, you know, by maybe reminding us all, you know, the difference between an asylum seeker, migrants, immigrants, and so on. And then taking it from there, for me as well, giving us an insight into what it's like for each individual and each family, looking at the cramped conditions, the reality for the children, the health issues, and the phrase you used, Joe, I wrote it down. First 3 months you're smiling, after 3 months you're begging to be let out. I just found that a little bit disturbing as well myself. I just thought it was a very real picture. And it was wonderful then to hear from Naomi and from Fionnuala about all the different projects that are going on in the Migrant Centre. And it's to see how the Migrant Centre has grown over the 15 years. And I would say it's obvious from all that you do there, it's providing an invaluable support to so many people who find themselves vulnerable, very vulnerable maybe, and alone. And on a personal note, I'm taken back to the early days when the Migrant Centre was but a dream. I happened to be living in community with Joe at the time. And it was, you know, I was reminded of Joe responding there to the need for a centre for people, and to look at how it has grown. It's wonderful over the 15 years. And I'm just picking up on what Fionnuala mentioned there as well, not words but deeds, you know, Nano's the motto. And again, it's putting flesh on what all the documents are about. So I'm going to finish, folks, because I know you're probably gasping for a cuppa. So, you know, picking up the theme of our day is leaving no one behind. And it's obvious really to me that the Migrant Centre aims to do just that. So on behalf of all of us, just to send many blessings your way, Fionnuala, Joe and Naomi, as you continue the great work that you're doing. So thanks very much.
Eleanor, thank you very much.